Anchor babies are here to stay. The Supremes ruling against President Trump's order limiting birthright citizenship, reaffirming that kids born in the U.S. are citizens regardless of their parents' immigration status. Trump says it's too bad for our country and is calling on Congress to pass legislation. But the libs won't be satisfied until all of America gets turned into a foreign maternity ward.
This Supreme Court could not have ruled any other way and held on to its legitimacy as the 9 supreme members of the judicial branch.
The 14th Amendment was put in place, and I think in a way to save us from ourselves and our worst impulses, not to save a country from people like Justice Kavanaugh.
There are folks who are doubling down on the idea that this country must be a white republic.
You have a bunch of people who fetishize history. Maybe the issue isn't so much that the Constitution needs to change, but that the people interpreting the Constitution need to change.
And now get ready for a migrant baby boom. Nearly 1 in 10 births in the U.S. in 2023 were to unauthorized or temporary legal immigrant mothers. Dana, make sense of this. Is this the vast majority of the countries on Earth, 150 plus, don't have birthright citizenship. Right. That includes Africa, Asia, Europe, the Middle East. They don't have it because they need to control immigration and birth tourism, preserve their natural and cultural identity, and they have resource concerns. These are all the same things we have.
Okay, but even if they had it, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Because people want to be here. Why do they want to be here? Because it's the best country, happy 250. So this is a decision that's a little bit hard for people to swallow. And I do think that even when President Trump went to the argument, he knew it didn't go well. And now there was a possibility that the court could have just ruled on the procedural grounds and sent it back and left the constitutional question open, but that's not what they did.
Right.
Instead, the constitutional question is settled. And so the president, I think initially he said, okay, then we'll go to Congress and try to get it done. Now that is the proper way to do it, and that would actually work. In particular, for example, if you were to say on birth tourism that in particular is illegal, you might be able to actually get that passed.
I would hope so.
Well, look at these people.
Yeah.
But if you could make the case that the ball is in Congress's court to change it, we have the power to change it. Who thinks it's a good idea to have the situation that we have with birth tourism?
Well, Democrat socialists.
Well, we'll have to ask them if they think that's true. But it's wild that 10% of U.S. births are to legal immigrant people who are here, but you cross illegally and then you have your baby and you do it on purpose and you do it as you're in your 9th month. Maybe Congress could do something on that would be acceptable to the court.
Jesse, how do you feel about this?
I'm angry.
Are you?
Alito said we blew it. He said in his dissent, this was one of the most important cases the court's ever seen, and we blew it. He and Thomas were basically like, yeah, this devalues and degrades U.S. citizenship because it opens it up for anchor babies and for birth tourists. Now, the Chinese communists could take their pregnant wife to Guam, have a baby, fly the baby back to Beijing with a U.S. passport, and then that baby, when he's older, can get U.S. welfare, he can vote. Technically, when he's 35, he could become president of the United States. That's the stupidest thing anyone ever thought of. Literally, the senator who put this out in the 19th century said it shouldn't involve foreigners, aliens, or families of ambassadors. Everybody agreed at the time. The guy that sponsored it, the guy that initiated it, the architect of this 14th Amendment, the AG, the president at the time, Grant, all said, yeah, no foreigners, no visitors. Well, this was also before airplanes. So no one could imagine enemies of the United States flying here to have babies that 18 years later they could use against us to sway elections, soak up welfare, and then steal our defense technology. Because that's what they do. They steal it. So I'm annoyed. And they're using migration as a weapon against us. And the court didn't protect us. And the Democrats are in cahoots with this. They like it because they like it for money and power. So obviously, we have to agree with the court's decision. Congress not going to do anything about it. And I think the DOJ has to ramp up prosecutions of birth tourism fraud. And Trump's got to deport even more because this is demographic destruction.
And keep the border sealed.
Right.
So, Harold, you heard all that from Jesse. Do you see it a little differently?
I see it in some ways similar to you guys. I think Dana said it right from the outset. I like half of what Dana said. This was undeniably clear that this was going absolutely zero where, because the Constitution, they followed the Constitution. Now, I don't disagree with the sentiment around the table that we've reached a point where citizenship is being manipulated and used in ways that it should not. The way to go about doing this is to go to Congress. A president of the United States can't be elected president and say, there's certain things that people are saying about me. This is not the president today, but there's certain things that people are saying about me. So I'm going to write an executive order saying the First Amendment doesn't it doesn't apply to everybody if they say bad things about me and my party. That's essentially what the president tried to do here. The Constitution speaks clearly about citizenship. Now, separately, I do think there's a legitimate conversation needs to be had about the issues that you raised, about people flying here and having babies for purposes that, let's just say, are not benign or not in our best interest. Congress should have that conversation, much like the court was exactly right in saying that transgender athletes, that states have a right to regulate this. Justice Kavanaugh said that states and localities are closer to this issue, and they should be the ones doing this. That's what the Constitution says. In this instance here, if we want to change birthright citizenship, the founders of our country did not endow one man and will one day say one woman with the authority to disavow the Constitution. What they did was they set up a process. You know, the last time we amended the Constitution was in 1992. 34 years ago, was around compensation for members of Congress. People were upset about the way they were being compensated. I think there's vitriol.
Wait, the last amendment was so Congress members could get paid more?
No, to limit the way they could get paid.
Oh, okay, good.
34 years ago. So if we want the outrage around this is clear and plain in the Constitution. And I thought Justice Roberts said it best. He said, citizenship then and now was the right to have rights, to freely participate in our political community. If we want to change that as a nation, we have every right to. And I'm not saying I'm opposed to some of the things that have been mentioned around the table, but we ought to do it the right way. No president, I don't care if his name is Trump, Obama, Clinton, Washington, or Lincoln, has the right to unilaterally change the Constitution because he feels it necessary. That's why we have a process, and that's why we're celebrating 250 years of excellence here in the next few days.
Do you buy that interpretation of the Constitution that it was?
No, not at all. And I'll tell you why.
What do you disagree with?
Wait, can I just ask you? Does a mayor of a city have a right to say they'll never accept a Supreme Court ruling?
Of course, he has the right, but he can't. They will have to accept it. He has the right to say whatever he wants.
Okay, so
but he didn't write an executive order.
I'm tired of hearing about this constitutional crisis from President Trump. No,
I didn't say that.
The mayor of this city, when the ruling came down for temporary protective status, Mamdani said, I will never accept it. Trump, before this ruling ever came out, said, I have to accept it.
He was wrong. Was Trump wrong to say he meant birthright citizenship?
Let me finish, because you incorrectly described the 14th Amendment. I agree with the three dissenters, and here is why. When you look at the text of the 14th Amendment, which I have right here in my hand, it says that in order to be a citizen, you have to be subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Right. If you are a woman from China who comes over, you are subject to the jurisdiction of China. That's pretty clearly written in the text of the 14th Amendment. I'm a textualist, though. You go on and it says that you are subject to the state wherein you reside. If you are a woman from China who comes over to give birth in this country, you are not residing in a state, you are a visitor. It is very clear, the text on the page, which is why Thomas got this right. It's why Alito got this right. It's why Gorsuch got this right.
That's why they were in the minority.
This is a hugely important decision because it only takes a few brain cells to answer this question. Do you think the founders, or the framers, I should say, of the 14th Amendment intended for 4.13 billion women in the world to have the right to come over here, give birth, and become a citizen? Did they envision 4.13 billion new citizens potentially in a theoretical world? No, but that is essentially what the majority is saying today. It is totally ludicrous. That would include children from hostile nations. Do you think the framers of the 14th Amendment wanted people from China or Russia? We've learned Russia's sending people over here to have babies, to become U.S. citizens, and then go back and be educated in the CCP. Do we need 1 to 1.5 million new voters educated by the Chinese Communist Party? I think not, but that is the estimate of birth tourism from China alone. John Sower pointed that out in his oral arguments. This was a wrong decision. It was a very bad one, and Justice Thomas very clearly described this. The intent of the 14th Amendment was to overturn Dred Scott. It was intended to bring citizenship to freed slaves. It was never intended to apply to foreigners traveling to the United States of America. It's a wrong decision. It's a bad one. It won't stand the test of time. And last point, Senator Rick Scott, who I'm growing to like more and more each and every day, said, Next week, the Senate needs to vote on this. They need to codify the Trump agenda on the border. They need to make legislative changes here to ensure that birth tourism ends. This has to change. It needs to change next week. And the lazy Senate that can't get around to voting on the Save America Act, no more excuses. Fix this before the midterm election.
You can't blame Democrats for this because these are Republicans doing these things. Where I agree with Kayleigh is that Congress is where it should happen. The text is what the text is, and we have
subject to the jurisdiction thereof. What does that mean, Harold?
But we have hundreds of years of jurisprudence on this. You can dislike the text.
Okay, so the 4 billion women around the world are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Should they put a toe on our soil? That makes no sense. That is illogical.
It's just like when Democrats argued the Second Amendment never envisioned rifles and guns and semi-automatic weapons being found in rural and urban America. And people say the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. We have to change the Second Amendment for those who want that kind of gun control. And for your textual understanding of that to take place, Congress has to pass
maybe we
a
just
change to the
need
Constitution.
Textualist abiding justices on the Supreme Court who understand text and history and the way justice.
I think they
Fair
did.
enough. Your position lost 6-3 with 3 conservatives voting with the 3 liberals.
I think
by the court doesn't
I gotta
accept it.
I gotta end this legal brief. My only point is, why is it that the people who hate America the most want to make it as easy as possible to be one?
Great question.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.